Dorothy Gale has been blown into the kingdom of Oz and landed on top of the Wicked Witch of the East. She encounters Glinda, the Good Witch of the North, who promptly asks her the binary question, "Are you a good witch or a bad witch?" Dorothy responds immediately that she is not a witch at all. What ensues is a discussion of witches that may very well parallel what we all encountered as our introduction to witches. Dorothy thinks all witches are old and ugly. Glinda assures her that only bad witches are ugly. My question is, who gets to be a witch anyway? Who gets to wear that appellation or has it applied to them? The word witch is of unclear origin. The word didn't even get its present-day T until the 16th century. The Old English Wiccan was a non-gendered word, meaning to practice sorcery. Such practitioners came in all genders. As we move forward in time, the derivatives of Wiccan become more and more applied to women, and the definition moves toward evil and ugliness, with a dash of healer and soothsayer thrown in. It seems the evolution toward male-run societies needed to demonize the female element. If we move back in time, the proposed etymology gets murky, but there is some scholarship that says the word weg is a Proto-Indo-European root of witch, meaning to be strong, to be lively. Today, Reverend Jeremiah will explore a bit more of this end of the spectrum. How have the earth-centered religions that have continued to be practiced through the centuries enhanced our UU congregations? Perhaps we'll get a better way to answer Glinda's binary question to Dorothy. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning. Salam alaikum, peace to you on this beautiful morning, and namaste. That which is sacred within me honors that which is sacred within you. Welcome to our Sisters of the Moon service, this beautiful haunted season. I'm the Reverend Jeremiah Lal Shahbaz Kalendae, and I serve this historic congregation as its developmental minister. I'm joined this morning by our extraordinary worship team, Sue and Javon and Ryan and Aubrey and Mia in the back, and I bet Liz and Pam are somewhere online helping us make sure we are live streaming this morning. If this is your first time joining us or you are still new to our congregation, I bid you a special welcome to and hope you'll take the time to explore our beautiful new website and online news magazine to learn more about our church or to stop by the visitors table, which will be in the courtyard following the service. We open this morning's service with the lighting of our flaming chalice with these words by Eric A. Heller Wagner. Blessed is the fire that burns deep in the soul. It is the flame of the human spirit, touched into being by the mystery of life. It is the fire of reason, the fire of compassion, the fire of community, the fire of justice, the fire of faith. It is the fire of love burning deep in the human heart, the divine glow in every life.
Love it, Javon. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Community Church of Santa Monica. I'm Sue Bickford, your worship associate for today, and we're delighted that you're all with us, either here in the sanctuary or online, from all our communities across LA Basin and the US and maybe even beyond that. If you're new to our community, on our website, you can find many ways to learn about our community and become more involved. Please know that while we navigate our new normal, we're gathering safely and slightly differently, and also still holding many meetings and small group meetings online. We offer programs to serve the needs of our congregation and to be of service to the larger world, including broad religious exploration and personal development for people of all ages. We also join with other social justice advocates to work for justice and harmony of our world. Unitarian Universalism is not defined by creed or dogma, but is guided by principles that affirm the worth and dignity of every person. They also encourage an individual search for truth and meaning. We honor the wonder of existence and believe that we are all connected to each other and to the interdependent web of life. Our beliefs are drawn from scriptures and science, nature and philosophy, personal experience and ancient tradition. We are an open, affirming, and welcoming congregation, diverse in backgrounds, identities, spiritualities, and philosophies of life. We are united in our desire to create an inclusive, beloved community, to live the principles of our faith, and to serve the wider world. Whatever your beliefs or faith traditions, we invite you to help us build a community where together, in our diversity, we make covenant in love and justice. May you find comfort, camaraderie, and inspiration here. As we gather in this space and in our virtual spaces, we recognize that we are all connected through the winds that give air to all beings and through the water that's moved deep in the earth and up into the sky. We acknowledge that the ground beneath our feet is the traditional home of indigenous peoples, many of whom have been forcibly removed to other lands. And now for the announcements. Mostly you can find them online or the Thursday blast, but here we have 3 for today. The poll that's asking how we feel about a possible name change for our community is still live and looking for input. You can find that link on the Thursday blast if you want to participate in that. Our Spirit Level Foundation matching grant is closer to our goal of $50,000 to match the grant that we've been awarded for the Arizona lobby. With the help of any size donation, we can close the gap between that and what we currently have and the several $1,000s we still need. Folks, those bathroom doors aren't going to open themselves, right? Any help you can give may be donated online. Reference other and type as Arizona Matching Grant on the online donation piece at the UUSM website. It can be texted to our handy-dandy text number, 844-982-0209, using $25, for instance, ALP for a one-time credit card donation, or you can even deliver a check in person or mail it in. And finally, our UUSM choir will be performing Elizabeth Alexander's Kindling, Small Reflections on a Limitless Faith, on Friday, November 8th at 7:30 p.m. This really interesting piece is based on the UU 6 sources of our religion. It's a $15 donation is requested. Okay, on with the show. Please rise in body or in spirit for the opening hymn, number 27, I Am That Great and Fiery Force, in the gray hymnal or above, and then remain standing for our covenant and our hymn of praise.
Shining of the river's course in green.
seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship. Thus do we covenant with each other. El amor es la enseñanza de esta iglesia. Buscar la verdad es su sacramento, y el servicio es la oración. Vivir juntos en paz, buscar el conocimiento en la libertad, servir a la humanidad en comunión. Así es como convenimos unos a otros. If you have a donation for the Westside Food Bank, we ask that you bring it forward to place in our basket at this time, or give it to someone else who's coming forward to place in the basket. We've been partners in collecting food for the Westside Food Bank for many years. Helping others to have enough food is a very concrete way for our whole congregation to underscore the worth of every individual. The food bank website has many ways to support their mission. One is to bring items they use in large quantities like pasta and pasta sauce in unbreakable packaging, please, juice, granola bars, protein bars, breakfast cereal to our collection basket each week. Our service to the world can be embodied right here each Sunday. All people, young and adults, are encouraged to give. We will now receive this morning's offering for the Westside Food Bank. And as we bring our food offerings up, I invite Delaney Hutchinson to come up and give the share of time for all ages.
Hey guys, how's it going?
It's going good.
This is a book about, it's called Rupert's Tales, the Wheel of the Year. And this is a little tale called Rupert's Samhain Celebration. Rupert the rabbit was sitting in the lap of a little girl who was crying. Although her sniffles had stopped and her tears were finally drying. He had been to the sacred round place many times before and had watched the unfolding of its mysterious lore. He had watched as the people had come by twos and threes, preparing their feast and their circle underneath the trees. He hadn't seen the little girl come from behind. He hadn't heard her make a noise of any kind. She had reached and drawn him into her small arms. Somehow, he knew she didn't mean him any harm. And so Rupert had let the little girl hold him and get on with her tears, wondering if she could teach him something about the turning of the year. "How I miss my grandma," he heard her hiccup a little bit, then whisper sadly, "If only she was still here, I would listen to all her stories gladly. She was funny and smart and gave wonderful hugs and was very kind, you know. And I hope my mom's right. And it really is as above, so below. Because it is, they will be glad to have her there." She sniffled and said, "She always used to brush my hair." Rupert wished there was something he could do or say to take the little girl's sadness and heartache away. But he had no words to give her, none that she would understand, so he lay still, letting her pet him with her little soft hands. Then Rupert watched a woman come walking through the trees and thought, just for a small moment, perhaps he should flee. She looked at the girl and said, "We've been looking for you. Come join us in the circle and bring your little friend too." He let the little girl carry him without making any noise, and in among the circle of people, men and women, girls and boys. He sat quietly and still in the little girl's lap as the ritual began, trying hard to listen, to make sense of everything, and to understand. She told them of times and ages past and how not so long ago, Samhain was a time when people really did reap what they did sow. This was once the time when people of many lands and many ways got everything ready for the long, dark nights of the cold, short days. There were once no stores to run to for milk or meat or bread. They raised their own animals, wheat and vegetables instead. The woman called this harvest and time of the year the Feast of Samhain. Smiling, she said the strange words so it seemed to rhyme with plowin'. All the gates between the worlds stand open this night, she said, between the realm of living and the realm of the dead. There is a boundary, a veil, or a barrier, a kind of line that has kept one away from the other throughout all time. But at certain times of the year, she went on to explain, the veil becomes thinner, like the moon when it starts to wane. If you look very closely, the whole part of the circle is plain to you and me. But if you look quickly, then a part of the moon is all you're able to see. At Samhain, if you look closely, think hard, and keep very still, you might have a special visitor. Some of us surely will. Think of someone special who has left us in the past year or two. Please close your eyes and open your ears. This is something we can all do. Becky was praying, asking God and Goddess to listen and to hear, to keep her grandmother safe, and to bless the woman she held so dear. She was glad her grandmother no longer suffered any pain. She missed having her to hug and to talk to. That much was plain. Suddenly, many pictures of Becky's grandmother went through her mind, scenes of fun and laughter the two of them had shared together, all kinds. You can open your eyes now, the woman whispered, her gentle voice very near. Rupert wasn't surprised to see it was she who had laid her hands on his ears. The mysteries of who and what lies beyond this life are not ours to know, but those of us here in the realm of living must continue to grow. Whether we live only one life or if we live many more, we can always draw strength and love from those who have lived before. If your grandmother came as a spirit or as a memory, if she came as a warmth in your heart or as a ghost you could see, that you remembered and called her to you, those are the things you were supposed to do. Samhain is remembering and holding those who died near in our hearts. Remembering love and laughter we shared is the very best part. With smiles or tears, no matter how or what you do, how you remember those you have loved is up to you. And then this is Rupert and Becky. Cute little picture. The end.
We create a beacon of mindfulness each week when we gather together to hold time for stillness, to witness to the longings of our hearts, sometimes to name them in prayer, to open ourselves to the gift of life, to meditate together. Let us begin to center ourselves together by returning to our breathing and releasing whatever pains, stresses, or anxieties may be lingering from the days that have passed, or those that are still to come, to be present to this moment. With each exhalation, let their grips on our lives be loosened as we cast them off. And with each inhalation, let us welcome centeredness, alignment, and serenity. Breathing out, we make room for unhindered spaciousness within ourselves. And breathing in, we fill that spaciousness with radiant awareness. In the ebb and flow, we find our sacred center and dwell there for moments of peaceful repose. Our mindfulness prayer for reflection this morning is Drops of God by the Reverend Tess Baumberger. It opens our mindfulness to the mystical elements of nature and the divine feminine in our world. God is water sleeping in high clouds. She is gentle drink of rain, pooling lake, rounding pond, angry flooding river. She is frothy horse-maned geyser. She is glacier on mountains and polar ice cap, and breathtaking crystalline ideas of snowflakes. She is frost dance on trees, and we are drops of God. Her tears of joy or sorrow, ice crystals and raindrops in the ocean of her. God is air wallowing all about us. She is thin blue atmosphere embracing our planet, gentle breeze. She is wind and fearsome gale, centrifugal force of tornado and hurricane, flurry of dust storm. She is breath, spirit, life. She is thought, intellect, vision, and voice. And we are the breaths of God, steady and soft, changeable and destructive. We are her laughter and her sighs, atomic movements, sardines schooling in the firmament of her. God is fire burning, day and night. She is sting of passion, blinking candle, heat that cooks our food. She is fury, forest fire, and flow of lava, which destroys and creates, transforms. She is home fire and house fire. She is giving light of sun and solemn mirror face of moon and tiny hopes of stars. And we are little flickering flames, flickering in her heart, in the furnace of her. God is power of earth. In and under us, she is steady, staying, fertile, loom, body, matter, tree. She is crumbling limestone and shifting sand, multicolored marble. She is rugged boulder and water-smoothed agate. She is cold, gold and diamond, gemstone. She is tectonic plates and their motion, mountains rising over us, rumble, snap of earthquake, tantrum of volcano. She is turning of our day, root of being. And we are pebbles of sand grains and tiny landmarks in the endless terrain of her. God is journal of time marching through eternity. She is waking of seasons, phases of moon, movements of stars. She is grandmother, mother, daughter. She is transcending spiral of ages whose every turn encompasses the rest. History, a mere babe balanced on her hip. She is spinning of universes, an ancestress of the infinite. She is memory, she is presence, she is dream. And we are brief instants, intersections, nanoseconds, flashing gold hope moments in the eons of her. God is, and we are. Let us meditate now together in moments of silence. Women have been congregating in large numbers in recent weeks in the courtyard after Sunday services. Whispers of clandestine planning and conjuring have been making their way through the community. A circle was witnessed in the courtyard 1 week ago, and chants could be heard in foreign tongues as participants were observed swaying in their seats and then standing and lifting their arms to the sky overhead. There have been reports of knives and daggers, and a cutting board was found near this circle. It appeared as though an apple had been sacrificed. No cauldrons or broomsticks were found near these gatherings, but there has not yet been an exhaustive search of the church's kitchen. This is all very concerning as the witches' great Sabbat, Samhain, or All Hallows Eve, draws so near. Witnessing such activities might stir rumors of sorcery, magic, witchcraft. The conjurings of women and gender-fluid and non-binary persons has always been a cause for concern in polite society. This is especially true in times when people are being policed by religious authorities and human rights are being revoked by oppressive regimes. The Black lesbian mother warrior poet Audre Lorde often warned her classes that history had important lessons to teach us. So often she would begin her classes by taking chalk to the chalkboard and inscribing the words, "Women are powerful and dangerous." Women, gender fluid, and non-binary people are organizing in our congregation for community, democracy, and liberation. Our Women Plus ministry is one of the vibrant and growing groups that has been seen meeting in the courtyard following Sunday services to plan events, share meals, and discern our way through this perilous time. They are nurturing liberatory community as people with uteruses, the transgender community, and people of color are under attack by the Supreme Court, countless legislators, local officials, church leaders, and extremist groups. Many of us gather to counter the dangerous message of the Unite for Life forced birth rally on the Santa Monica Pier 2 weekends ago with leaders from our congregation's Faith in Action and our intersectional anti-racism and anti-oppression commission, along with many interfaith partners, to declare that reproductive justice is life. Last weekend, the Reverend Amelia Momina, a dear colleague and interfaith minister who this congregation helped shepherd into professional ministry years ago, returned here to share her ministry with us. For the next few months, she is helping us to widen our embrace of multi-religious spirituality by bringing together powerful elements of Jewish and Christian and Muslim and Hindu and UU practices, and offering embodied worship opportunities that gets our blood flowing as we sway, dance, and inhabit our bodies in sacred space in new ways. Women, gender fluid, and non-binary leaders are showing up and inviting us to get involved with this important work, inspiring many of us of all genders and no gender at all to dream more expansively and to join them in the transformative magic they are brewing. Intense silence as she walks into the room, her black robes trailing, sister of the moon. And she called to me, and so I followed, as friends often do. she asked me, "Be my sister of the moon." We were welcomed to worship this morning with these haunting lyrics of another white witch, the esteemed solo artist, legendary member of the band Fleetwood Mac, and one of the queens of rock, Stevie Nicks. Accused of witchcraft throughout her long and illustrious career because of her mystical lyrics and powerful feminine presence and witchy aesthetics, she has insisted that she's just a spiritual person who finds inspiration for the songs she writes in the spirits around her and the magic and enchantment she experiences in life. Doesn't sound like witchcraft to me. She is emblematic of the long tradition of women and others who were believed to possess magical powers or extraordinary capacities to communicate with other realms. These were women who often dared to live as outcasts, healers, and rebels beyond the reaches of the world of men and their church. In ancient times, the patriarchy and its religious institutions dominated large towns and cities, and these women were often found living in remote villages that were not assimilated to the way of life, to this dominant way of life or religious understanding. Sometimes they wore painfully outdated fashion, like pointed black hats with brims. No one wore brimmed hats, after all, in the cities. They were known to possess the secrets of herbs and the arts of healing. Some of their medicines, their flying ointments, caused their patients to feel as though they were soaring through the moonlit sky on a broom. They preserved the ancient ways deep in the forests and in these distant rural villages. Now, pagan means country dweller, and it was once a derogatory term that referred to these rural village folk and the practices of their old religion that predated the monotheistic faiths. Their religion was not one of creeds and prophets and saviors, but rather was the way of life that emerged from living close to the natural world and depending on it for their needs and survival. Holy days in these ancient pagan traditions often included seasonal observances like the solstices and equinoxes and festivals that correspond with the planting and harvesting of crops and the slaughter of livestock animals. Many of these pagan spiritualities were animistic, interacting with a world of benevolent and malevolent spirits. It's from these traditions that we learn tales of fairies and sprites, gnomes and leprechauns, ghouls and goblins. The divinity that they experienced in the world manifested in a multitude of forms and had many faces. Now, neopagan is a contemporary term that means new or modern pagan. The Neopagan movement is a reconstructionist movement that arose over the last century as it aspired to reclaim and reformulate the ways of these old religions as they were practiced in Europe and other places around the world. Neopagan is an umbrella term for these reconstructionist religions that include witchcraft, druidry, heathenism, and other ancient forms of goddess worship. Neopagans have found a home in Unitarian Universalist congregations, and these nature-centered spiritualities influence the adoption of our sixth source of the Unitarian Universalist tradition, earth-based spiritualities, and our seventh principle, which affirms living in harmony with the web of creation. Wicca is one of the primary branches in this neo-family tree of religions. It finds its roots in these older pagan traditions of the medicine women and wise ones, the witches, who lived outside of social convention and dominant religious expressions in cultures throughout the world. Wicca emerged over a century ago as a practice of covens, circles of witches in England that were synthesizing and reconstituting these ancient pagan religious tenets and practices with traditions of ceremonial magic and teaching from schools of Indian religion. Modern Wiccans celebrate the cycles of the moon and the wheel of the year, which includes many pagan holidays with which we may have some familiarity. Holidays such as Beltane or May Day, Samhain or All Hallows Eve, and Yule or Christmas. Wiccans typically believe in a duotheistic theology. That's two principal deities, a great goddess of the universe and the wild horned god of the hunt. Some lineages, like the Dianic tradition, only worship the divine feminine. Wiccans practice magic, draw sacred circles, cast spells, and use amulets and talismans to effect change. The central creed of their tradition is, "And it harm none, do what thou wilt," and the law of karmic return. The reconstructed old religion they practice is understood to help one live in harmony with nature and appreciate interacting with the whole of nature as divine. Magic is not a supernatural power in these traditions, but the natural forces of human consciousness and nature directed towards specific goals. Now, Unitarian Universalism, the Neopagan movement, and Wicca are all deeply interwoven countercultural traditions. They all gained prominence in the 1960s and 1970s with the emergence of women's, queer, and environmental movements. The liberal spirit of our tradition meant we opened our doors to these to individuals organizing for change and adopting alternative spiritual identities. The UU Women's Movement and our tradition helped to expand our liberal religious thinking beyond the boundaries of the largely male-dominated Jewish, Christian, and humanistic frameworks to embrace the feminist and earth-based spiritual traditions, and to eventually include them in our sources and our principles. Beacon Press, our UU publishing house in Boston, helped give voice to many of the seminal authors of the Neopagan movement, people like Starhawk and Margot Adler, and their respective works, Dreaming the Dark, Sex, Magic, and Politics, and Drawing Down the Moon, Witches, Druids, Goddess Worshippers, and Other Pagans in America Today. The UUA also published the first curriculums exploring feminist and earth-based spiritualities in the context of a church, Cakes for the Queen of Heaven, and Rise Up and Call Her Name. Maybe some of you remember these from the old days. I remember when I was a young participant in Young Religious Unitarian Universalist, YRUU, our religious education program, I discovered that my Sunday school teachers were a witch, a druid, and an atheist. Could it get any cooler than that, I wondered. Now, though graduate courses on these religious traditions are now common, 2 decades ago, this was not so when our liberal seminaries began to offer the first of such courses. Today, witchcraft and neopaganism are integral parts of our tradition, and many congregations have Covenant of Unitarian Universalist Pagans, or CUPS, chapters. This inclusion has strengthened our tradition by bringing us considerable religious wisdom, practice, and other liberatory blessings. In a world where we were taught that the divine was a man on a throne far away in the heavens, judging our every deed, our sisters of the moon taught that sacred presence was also found in the holy groves, in the fields of wildflowers, and in the waxing and the waning of the moon. When the church taught that body and spirit did not belong together because body was corrupt and spirit was pure, women, gender fluid, and non-binary people showed the way of sacred unity and witnessing to the blessings of sacred sensuality, gender, and sexuality. When people were told that they lived in a fallen world with the guilt of original sin, the wise ones taught that Mother Nature was sacred and that we were created in her sacred image. When religious fundamentalists and judges attempted to strip us of our freedoms, bodily autonomy, and the power of consent, the medicine women, midwives, and abortion providers stir us from our complacency and remind us to reclaim our power. When people were told to just have faith and not to question, to follow the rules and to doubt themselves, our siblings reminded all to question that sometime is the time to rebel and that we should place trust within ourselves. When we were told that this world was all that there was and that this was the way it had to be, they invited us to imagine, to dream, to re-enchant our world. Let us walk between the worlds in the season of magic and ancestors, and contemplate the words of that wise old anarchist witch named Starhawk. What happens while you are between the worlds is what can change the world. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be.
Our practice is to receive half of the collection plate to support the many ministries of our congregation and to share the other half with organizations doing good work in the world that advances our Unitarian Universalist principles. This month, half of our Sunday offering will go to Clergy and Laity United for Economic Justice, CLUE. It's a powerful coalition of diverse congregations with a progressive agenda around workers' rights and issues of economic justice. Clergy and lay people involved in this work occupy a very specific place within the larger social justice landscape, calling on religious communities, humanity in all walks of life, inspiration, and support and counter-messaging. You may donate by text, online with our website, or by check. To donate by text, use the instructions that are at the end of the order of service and specify your amount of donation to the Generous Congregation Fund, or SLF, for the Spirit Level Foundation. For text donations, a one-time only credit card registration is required. All that you give monetarily and all that you give of yourselves helps to build our community. Thank you for your generosity. I invite our ushers to come forward as we now give and receive this morning's offering. And Javon gives us the offertory anthem. More Stevie Nicks.
Do you always trust your first initial feeling? Special knowledge holds truth, best believing. I turned around and the water was closing all around me like a glove, like the love that had finally found me. And I knew in the crystalline knowledge of you drove me through the mountains, through the crystal like clear water fountains, drove me like a magnet to the sea. How the faces of love had changed, turning the pages. And I have changed, oh, but you remain ageless. I turned around and the water, it was closing all around me like a glove, like the love that had finally found me. And I knew in the crystalline waters of you drove me live through the mountains, through the crystal like a clear water fountain, drove me like a magnet to the sea, to the sea, to the sea, to the sea. Yeah. Please, if you will, rise in body or in spirit and stay risen as we sing hymn number 1052 out of the Teal hymnal, The Oneness of Everything. Far beyond the grasp of hands, or to light through me the eye, past the reaches of the mind. There find the key to nature's heart.
Thank you for your ministry of music this morning, Javon. May you go in peace. May you hold fast to that which is good. May you return to no person evil for evil, but strengthen the faint of heart, support the weak, help the afflicted. Go forth into this day in peace. Honor all beings. Be blessed and be a blessing. Amen.